Hello, my name is Julie McMaster, and I would like to thank you for your time today. I would like to bring up the awareness of concussion rates in college sports and propose a solution that can help decrease these numbers. Concussion rates have been increasing. According to the National Academics, since 2009 to 2013, sports-related concussions in college athletes has mainly risen in majority of sports. For wrestling, it has gone from roughly 4,000 to 12,000, and in field hockey, roughly 4,000 to 15,000. There are many contributions for this increase of injuries, including awareness of what a concussion is, pushing players past their limits, playing while injured, and sports equipments making players feel invincible. You can even look at the NFL's stats and see the increase of head injuries as well as the increase of games and practices. Concussions are very serious since it causes trauma to your brain that can lead to post-concussive syndrome and neurodegenerative conditions, symptoms including headaches, depression, memory loss, and much more. There are very simple solutions to decrease the risk of concussions while playing any sport. The NCAA currently has no disqualifications on the amount of concussions a player has suffered, or a cutoff for if you have suffered too many severe concussions. A player may become ineligible due to injuries, but can easily transfer to another school and play for their team as if nothing ever happened. The rule just needs to be voted on the proposed legislation by a group of committees. With this rule in place, the environment should be safer for players and help with concussion rates. There have been previous laws, including the Zachary-Lisdet law, which helps with return to play and return to learn, but only 25 states enforce it. And in 2018, 37 bills were passed, but only enforced in 17 states. People are trying to lower these rates, but there needs to be even more rules and laws enforced to keep athletes healthy, not only for their season, but for years to come. My solution is just another step in the direction to keep players safe, not only while playing, but for their health in the long run. For my solution, I propose stricter rules based on head injuries, but there is a certain rule that I think needs to be added to the guidelines. There needs to be a rule that limits a player's amount of concussions or the severity of the concussions to be eligible to play. According to Mickey Collins, the clinical and executive director of the University of Pittsburgh's Medical Center's Sports Medicine Concussion Program, William Meehan, who directs the Michelli Center for Sports Injury Prevention in Waltham, and Chris Coutures, a pediatrician and sports medicine specialist in Anaheim Hills, who is also the team physician for the U.S. men's and women's national volleyball team, all agree a cutoff number would be ideal, but every concussion is different for each case and needs to be analyzed individually. One athlete can suffer from 3 concussions and fully recover, being cleared for return to play, while another athlete can suffer only 1 concussion and not be cleared for return to play. There is no evidence that supports a specific number of concussions that an athlete can endure, but the severity of a concussion does matter. According to Harry Chrysadis, who has a master's degree in brain trauma, believes athletes that have sustained 3 or more concussions are more likely to have long-term cognitive impairment and emotional struggles. It all depends on how the individual player recovers and the trauma they have endured. With this information, I would like to implement a cutoff limit for concussions endured in all sports and in all divisions, whether it be a specific number like 3 concussions or based on severity and damage. Head injuries are serious, and the safety of players matters more than the ability of them to be able to play during their season. With my solution, the problem of concussions will not totally disappear, but we can enforce rules that make the environment safe for players. I want to implement a rule that limits players to the amount of severity of concussions they endure. Each case will be individually evaluated to see if they are eligible to play. With this rule, we can prevent long-term effects for athletes. When a person plays with too many concussions or too soon, they can suffer from second impact syndrome, causing their brain to swell rapidly. Over time, this leads to more serious conditions like cognitive damage, dementia, Alzheimer's, brain bleeding, and death. A perfect example of this is the reason why the Zachary-Lisdet law was passed in the first place. Zachary, a 13-year-old boy, was playing football when he suffered brain trauma from a tackle. That same game, he was put back on the field where he was hit many more times. By the end of the game, Zachary dropped to the floor, blind. He had suffered a hemorrhage and was on life support for 7 days. It took 9 months before he could speak, 13 months to move his left arm, and almost 4 years to move his right leg. College athletes' brains are not even fully developed, so if they do suffer concussions, the risks are even higher. If we stop it before it happens, we can also prevent future lawsuits of players who do suffer these conditions later in life due to major concussions. As a person who plays sports, I know how devastating it would be to hear that I can no longer play a sport due to having too many brain injuries. But as an athlete, I know how important recovery is. I acknowledge that my health and safety should be a higher priority than a season, and other athletes should too. You only get one functioning brain. Why mess that up? Head injuries are serious, and the safety of players matters more than playing during their season. Now, how will we get this rule passed? According to the NCAA, they are divided into 3 divisions. Each have their own board of governors. They can each set their own rules and guidelines for their specific division, meaning one division can adopt a rule while another division does not have to. Now, I want my rule to be incorporated in all of the divisions because safety is important no matter what division you are playing in. For this to happen, I will need to have all 3 divisions choose a representative to recommend this rule to the association. These committees will then work out the details of this new rule and vote on it. The new rule is then brought to the NCAA Board of Governors, the top dogs, who are the ones who can enforce this rule change that all of the divisions must follow. Yes, there have been strict rules implemented on concussions before, but the last one was in May of 2014, around 6 years ago. There is always room for improvement and new rules that can help players in the long run. Everyone should want to keep their athletes safe and healthy. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to listen to my presentation.